Part 60. Become a disciple of Taoist priest 4 eyes. Author, Dong Ren. Chapter 600. Sheni, there is a spiritual root here in Pandeo, which is suitable for fellow Taoists. However, although this red dragon grass is good, it is much worse than it. Fen Tuo raised his eyebrows and said curiously, I don't know what kind of spiritual root my friend is talking about. Su Junming smiled faintly, raised his left palm, and with a strong spiritual light, a 9-leaf golden lotus shining with yellow spiritual light slowly emerged from it. Feeling the rich compassion in the golden lotus, even Fen Tuo's Buddha's heart, which had been practiced for thousands of years, couldn't help but get excited. Western Golden Lotus. According to legend, the Western Golden Lotus is the spiritual root of the Buddha Sakyamuni transformed from Buddhism. It inherently contains the Buddhist true meaning of compassion to save all living beings, and is the most suitable treasure for Buddhist monks. It's just that this kind of natural Buddha root is rare in quantity. In the entire Shushan world, Zen Master Dakshin had a great chance to get a broken piece and made it into the famous Golden Lotus Buddha seed. Nothing else. I never thought that Lord Chongshan, a disciple of Taoism, would actually have one. He took a deep breath and suppressed the excitement in his heart. Does the true Lord have this Western Golden Lotus in his hand? Su Junming smiled. This Golden Lotus is the Bodhi Golden Lotus that he got from the White Horse Temple, the top sect in the world of Liuzai. It is also an immortal seed. This is the immortal root I got by accident. I don't know if it is the Western Golden Lotus mentioned by the nun. Ken Zhenjun let me see the real thing. The Golden Lotus just now was just an illusion that Su Junming borrowed a hint of the Golden Lotus breath and used magic power to simulate it. Nature. After saying that, a green 3-foot small tree rushed out of Su Junming's head, and a yellow light point flew down as the light flashed. After falling into Su Junming's hands, it turned into a golden lotus the size of a bowl. The lotus flower has thousands of auras and thousands of essences. As soon as he appeared in this world, he showed a strong aura of compassion. Amitabha. I never thought that fellow Taoist Su actually has my Buddhist spiritual roots in his hands. Monk Liao Chen whispered the Buddha's name. Although he is an ascetic, he is really envious of the legendary Western Golden Lotus. It's just that my pockets are empty, but I have no connection with this Buddhist treasure. Su Junming smiled slightly. Sheni, how are you? Amitabha is indeed the most precious Buddhist treasure, the Golden Lotus, Fen Tuo said excitedly. That's good. It's hard to get this Golden Lotus. If the nun doesn't have other treasures, I can't give you this Golden Lotus. Fen Tuo nodded, with a look of struggle on his old face. Su Junming sat firmly on the Diaotai without urging him. After a long time, Fen Tuo sighed and took out a jade box from the magic bag. On the palm-sized jade box, 3 spiritual talismans were affixed. After Fen Tuo removed the talismans one by one, the palm-sized white jade talismans instantly expanded to 5 feet in size. Opening the lid of the box, a dense spiritual light emerged. Along with the rich spiritual energy, everyone around looked curiously inside. Unexpectedly, it was not the spiritual root fairy weapon known to everyone as imagined, but a branch about 7 feet long and shaped like a willow branch. Most of the willow branches are dark blue, with only 3 inches of green at the end showing a hint of vitality. This willow contains innate greenwood spiritual energy, and it should be the main branch of an innate spiritual root. However, this old nun has little knowledge and has never been able to identify its origin. But fortunately, this willow still has some vitality. If it is cultivated properly in the future, Su the donor deserves a top-grade immortal root. There was a pause. I don't know about this thing. Can I exchange it for the Western Golden Lotus in Su Zhenjun's hands? Su Junming moved the bronze mirror and discovered that the navy blue part indeed contains the extremely rich innate greenwood aura as Fen Tuo said. In this rich innate Taishi King Mu spiritual energy, there is a ray of innate Tai King Mu spiritual energy. This is the common appearance of low-grade innate spiritual roots. However, except for the emerald green part, most of the willow branches have lost their vitality. And it was this emerald green part that gave Su Junming a big surprise, or surprise. Seal. Among the few innate Tai King Mu spiritual energy, Su Junming discovered a seal. This seal is extremely mysterious and contains the wonders of space. If he hadn't had the aid of a bronze mirror to observe things, he wouldn't have been able to discover it. What a mysterious seal! After a moment of simple meditation, Su Junming suddenly felt that his understanding of the sealing path had become more advanced. If you can fully understand it, you can take a big step forward in the sealing path. It was just that he was curious about what was behind the seal, so he directly used the bronze mirror to break through. In an instant, a wisp of rich green came into view like lightning. It seems that in April, when everything revives, the vibrant green color makes people full of hope. Innate Tai Chi Aoki fundamental energy. Su Junming never expected that under the seal, there was such a precious Tai Chi Aoki fundamental energy. You know, the Dragon Emperor is uniquely blessed to dominate the Chinese world, and even the heavens can't do anything about it. It's just a Tai Chi level innate 5-element fundamental energy. Just this fundamental Chi can hold up to hundreds of thousands of Bodhi golden lotuses. However, he soon discovered another more complex seal in the subtleties of this innate Tai Chi Aoki fundamental Chi. Su Junming was extremely lucky that he had the bronze mirror treasure, otherwise he would never have thought of peeking into the secrets given the complexity of the seal. After taking a slight breath, I felt a rush in my heart. In an instant, a brilliant azure light, like the rising sun in the east, came into view. Immediately afterwards, the seemingly endless truth of wood spread into the sea of consciousness like lightning. Su Junming was shocked. His understanding of King Mu Dao increased rapidly, and he soon broke through the limitations of the heavenly immortal and entered the level of the true immortal. It wasn't until his physical body could no longer bear it that he slowly stopped. My dear, why has your understanding of Mu's Hideo suddenly improved so much? The Dragon Emperor's divine consciousness transmitted his voice. As Su Junming's seven-soul Dharma body, the two souls are connected and share the Tao. Su Junming's understanding of Mu's Hideo is the Dragon Emperor's understanding. It's just that the latter is following the 5 elements path, a simple wooden path, and there is no way for him to make great progress in the 5 elements path. However, the 5 elements are mutually reinforcing and interfering with each other. With this comparison, the time for the Dragon Emperor to advance to the level of true immortal was reduced by at least a quarter. I encountered an innate Taoist King Mu fundamental Qi. Su Junming's tone was shocking. The fundamental Qi of Taoist. The usually calm Dragon Emperor also became surprised. The fundamental Qi of Taoist contains the most original path of wood. It is the highest and most noble, and is the foundation and origin of the path of wood in the world. Anyone who practices the way of wood can achieve wood immortal with a little understanding. If you can fully understand it, your realm and magic power will reach an incredible level. How is it possible? This is not a treasure that Zhongqian world should have. I don't think it's possible either. But it's right in front of me. Wait. How can this be? Su Junming's eyes widened in an instant. He discovered that there was actually a seal in Taoist King Mu's fundamental energy. The strength of the seal is hundreds of times that of the previous seal. What shocked him even more was that the perspective power of the bronze mirror actually lost its effect in front of the seal. What's wrong? Asked the Dragon Emperor. Su Zhenjun, can you agree? Fenchuo urged. I'll tell you later. After appeasing the Dragon Emperor, he turned to look at Fenchuo, his mind spinning. Although this item is good, cultivating it into a high-grade immortal root will take too much energy and time, and a wise man will not do it. If it is to refine treasures, it must be done by a refiner who can refine high-grade immortal weapons, and there are still cases of failure. Risk. In comparison, my golden lotus is completely intact. With a little practice, it can become a treasure of destiny. So, my golden lotus is worth more, does the nun think so? Su Junming knew that Fenchuo couldn't see the secrets in the three seals, not even the first seal that contained the magic of space, otherwise she would never exchange with him. As a result, the value of this willow branch is less than 1/10,000th. Although Su Junming was very determined in his heart, he wanted to win it. But in front of Fenchuo, an experienced old monster who has been practicing for thousands of years, he didn't dare to show too much urgency. If she sees something, it's a small thing to pay a little more. The most important thing is to miss out on the innate Taoist Kingmu fundamental energy and even the greater secrets within it. Fenchuo certainly knew the value of his willow branch, and even more clearly the importance of the Western Golden Lotus to him. What do you think, Zhenjun? This willow branch plus the red dragon grass seedling from before. Fenchuo breathed a sigh of relief. She had been too eager to deal with the Golden Lotus of the West and missed a move, thinking that Su Junming would open his mouth. If she only added one red dragon grass seedling, it would be within her tolerance. Thank you, true lord, for your success. Fenchuo is grateful. In her eyes, Su Junming, who clearly had the opportunity to blackmail her, chose to trade equally, which was an act of noble character. Gods and nuns are great virtues in Buddhism and models of righteousness. Of course, poor Taoists should be treated with courtesy. Su Junming smiled. The happiest thing in the world is that you have obviously made a huge profit, and the other party still looks like he is grateful. Under the envious gazes of Li Jingxiu, Qingyang Daijun, monk Liao Chen, and Master Tianke, the two exchanged their treasures. Holding the jade box in his hand, Su Junming's heart was filled with the pleasure of finding a big leak. And Fenchuo was also very satisfied. This Western Golden Lotus is a top-grade immortal root, which is completely consistent with her Buddhist teachings. With her methods, it won't take long to refine the Golden Lotus into a powerful natal immortal weapon. At that time, if you ascend to the Western Paradise, you will definitely achieve a more prominent status. Congratulations to both of you. Master Tianke said with envy in his words. Su Junming's face was full of joy. Everyone, why don't we go down and have a look, maybe we can harvest some spiritual materials. Everyone turned their heads. Because Su Junming's pearls and jade were in front, the 3,000 stone platforms were already filled with a dazzling array of cultivation objects. Spiritual weapons, elixirs, beast control, spiritual insects, elixirs, spiritual roots, and techniques, everything you can think of, and even things you can't think of, are here. There are so many types and quantities that the instigator, Continuous Junming, was a little surprised. Become a disciple of Taoist priest 4 eyes. Author, Dong Ren. Chapter 601. It seems that in the world of cultivation, even among the righteous people, there is a lack of communication, Su Junming thought to himself. It was really lively with tens of thousands of people walking through it, especially in front of Su Junming's stone platform, which had the largest number of people surrounding it. Su Junming set up an incarnation to deal with it, but the deal hadn't been completed yet. Haha, it's rare to see this scene. Pandeo also went to join in the fun. Li Jingxiu flew off the lotus platform and joined the shopping army. Soon Dejun Qingyang, monk Liao Chen, and Master Tianke were delighted to see the hunting spirit and joined in. Only Fenchuo remained unmoved. Shanai isn't going. Fenchuo shook his head. Oh none, this Western Golden Lotus is enough. At her current state, she can no longer appreciate ordinary things. Even if you like it, you may not be able to afford it now. Shen Ni is so sure. After Fenchuo whispered the Buddha's name, he turned to look at Su Junming. The true Lord opened the market this time to provide a place for communication among righteous colleagues in the spiritual world. It is a great merit, and I admire it very much. Su Junming smiled lightly and said, Shen Ni is serious. Look him directly. Now that the foundation of the Chongshan lineage created by the true monarch is getting stronger and stronger, there are many masters, and the merits are profound, but you plan to compete with Ime for the position of the leader of the righteous path, and lead the group of immortals to kill and catastrophe after a century. Facing Fen Tuo's compelling gaze, Su Junming said calmly, I'm just preaching and spreading the Dharma, promoting the practice, and opening doors for monks all over the world. Why would the nuns think of this? Did the old nun make a mistake? If not, why would fellow Taoist monks be born at this moment to establish the Pope, given their cultivation? Seeing Fen Tuo's determined eyes, Su Junming didn't bother to persuade this stubborn old man. It's true that I inherited the Pope and planned the merits. As for competing with Ime? Haha, what's the point of fighting for a mere leader of the lower world? As for the people in Ime, Xianzhenzi, ascetic Tuchuo, Qi Shuming, dragon-slaying master Tai Yijin master, and the two dwarfs are all decent. The rest are not even as good as the 3 generations of disciples of my Chongshan lineage. Are you worthy of competing with me, Chongshan? Fen Tuo's eyebrows trembled. Although he wanted to refute, but thinking about the current situation of the 2nd generation disciples of Ime, he found that everything was as the other party said, and there was no argument. But, it seems that the true king will never look back. Su Junming smiled calmly, Sheni, I know your plans for Buddhism. Speak of you, even if Tianmengbei comes to visit me personally, I will not change my original intention. He looked at him deeply. But, this old nun is favored by the true king and will not interfere in the dispute between Ime and Chongshan. Thank you very much. Goodbye, old nanny. Shen and I, walk slowly. Fen Tuo clasped his palms together, bowed, then took a step and disappeared in an instant. Looking at the direction she left, Su Junming smiled faintly, left an avatar to deal with it, and flew into his residence in the center of the cave. A 3-foot green tree sprouted above his head. Fly in and enter Chongshan residence. As soon as he entered the door, he saw the Dragon Emperor sitting there. You are really impatient, you came here by yourself so quickly. Where are the things? Let me see. Through memory sharing, he already knew what he had passed by, and now he couldn't wait to see the real thing. Su Junming waved his hand and threw the willow branch he got from Fen Tuo. The Dragon Emperor took it and activated the bronze mirror phantom in his dantian, but he could only see the 2nd level of restriction, but could not break through it. There was a hint of regret on his face. He really wanted to see for himself the appearance of the innate Taishuaoki's fundamental energy. This is the origin of heaven, the source of 10,000 trees, and it is even rarer than the great witch essence and blood collected by Su Junming. Anyone who practices Mu Dao can quickly improve their understanding of Mu Dao if they obtain it. The Dragon Emperor achieved enlightenment through the 5 elements, which of course includes the way of wood. With this innate Taishu King Mu fundamental Qi, he will surely reach several higher levels of speed in comprehending the path of wood in the future. This was also the reason why he did not hesitate to use the teleportation array and hurried back from the Snake King Temple millions of miles away. How long will it take you to break the 2nd seal? The Dragon Emperor turned around and asked. It's hard to say. The 2nd seal is not just a seal, but also contains the magic of space. I'm not sure how long it will take to unlock it. Su Junming shook his head. Although it was only a glimpse of the complexity of the 2nd seal, the densely packed forbidden runes made Su Junming's scalp numb. Now that the sermon is over, you have nothing to do, so why not come and understand it first, the Dragon Emperor said. Su Junming thought so and took the wicker over. By the way, this willow branch still has some vitality, why don't you take it to the Creation Spirit Island and plant it? I think, but these 3 seals have completely locked up the vitality of this willow branch. If the seal is not released, this willow branch will not be able to survive no matter how much creation spiritual energy it absorbs. After saying this, he sat cross-legged, with his 5 hearts facing the sky, the bronze mirror reflected the clear sky, and the willow branches slowly flew up, floating 3 feet in front of him. With the help of the bronze mirror, the layers of King Muchi were peeled away, and the first seal located in the innate Taishi King Muchi was quickly found. He was not stupid enough to comprehend the second level right from the start. The best strategy is to start from the easy to the difficult. Moreover, the 3 seals are all Aoki auras containing the magic of space, and they are obviously made by the same person. Only by understanding the first seal can you follow the clues. But even the difficulty of the first seal was far beyond Su Junming's original imagination. 3 years have passed. Su Junming was still sitting solemnly on the futon. Above the head, the 3-foot King Yun aura is vast, auspicious, and mysterious. In the middle of King Yun, a 12-grade green lotus bloomed with light. In the center of the green lotus is a bright pearl the size of a dove egg and 9 lotus seeds. If you look carefully, inside each lotus seed is a magic weapon or a set. Exactly, the 4-elephant sword formation, the creation spirit pond, the heavenly secret divine ball, the heavenly works divine furnace, the Sankei divine gate, the heavenly thunder drum, the Jishi immortal hoe, the Pantuo divine spear and the palace treasure tree. The stars inside the pearl are dotted like a mysterious universe, but if you look closely, you will find that they are not stars at all, but mysterious and complex runes of varying sizes. All the runes revolve around a huge bronze mirror. This bronze mirror may not seem big, but if you stare at it for a moment, it will look like a huge and boundless ancient mountain lying in front of you. Although it is stained with rust, it exudes a vast and mysterious atmosphere. Around this huge bronze mirror, there are 12 huge talismans blooming with infinite aura. In particular, a navy blue talisman shaped like a simple giant lock is the largest. In comparison, the azure talisman next to it, shaped like a giant door, is smaller. Behind it, a talisman flashing red, yellow, blue, green, and white in 5 colors, shaped like 5 giant mountains merged together, is a little worse. These 3 talismans represent seals, space and the 5 elements respectively. Thanks to his continuous understanding of the willow branch, Su Junming's improvement in seals, space, and 5 elements directly crossed a level. From the last few of the 12 natal talismans, they surpassed the originally ranked Soul Dao, Emperor Dao, Creation Dao, and Tiangong Dao in one fell swoop. Shua. Su Junming, who was meditating, suddenly turned his hands like a storm. Countless seals gathered into a river and quickly submerged into the willow branches in front of him. As more and more seals were incorporated, the willow branches that originally shone with a faint spiritual light and were extremely calm suddenly bloomed with infinite green light. The extremely rich greenwood spiritual energy burst out, turning the entire room into a green light. After the whole process lasted for nearly a quarter of an hour, Su Junming's hands suddenly stopped. His eyes suddenly opened, and his mouth sounded like a dragon roaring. Open. In an instant, a strong spiritual light shot straight into the sky. The vast aura of innate greenwood spreads crazily in all directions like rolling raging waves. But soon, a huge swallowing power came, and all the spiritual light and spiritual energy seemed to be rewinding and quickly retracted. Wait until everything is calm. A giant willow branch 7 feet long and as wide as a water tank appeared in front of Su Junming. Without using any means, you can sense the abundant greenwood aura in the willow branches and the spatial aura hidden within. The first seal has been released. Dragon Emperor, who had been by his side, showed a hint of excitement on his face. In the past 3 years, the two of them have jointly meditated on this willow branch. He is responsible for meditating on the wood method, and then using the wood method as the foundation and the 5 elements as the path to deduce the 5 elements. In the past 3 years, the 5 elements and Tao have made great progress. Su Junming is responsible for the space Dao and the sealing Dao. In the past 3 years, his understanding of these 2 paths has reached the middle stage of the Xianxian realm. It's a pity. If I had only half a month, my 5 elements would be able to reach the peak of true immortality. The Dragon Emperor shook his head. What a shame. If I continue to comprehend this, my body will fall apart. Su Junming said angrily. The natal talisman is a result of his many years of practice. It is also a projection of the law of the Great Avenue and has powerful power. If you want to carry this great power, you need a powerful carrier, that is, the physical body. Thanks to Su Junming's innate Taoist body and strong physical body, otherwise he would have collapsed long ago. Thinking of this, he envied the Dragon Emperor. He has an innate chi of the 5 elements at the Tai Chi level, and using it as a carrier to carry the understanding of the 5 elements is not too easy. It's time for you to go through the tribulation. The Dragon Emperor turned around and said. Su Junming nodded. It's really time to overcome the tribulation. In fact, long before he understood this willow branch, Su Junming, who took 36 pills of human yellow pills, had already reached the perfection of heavenly power. I was just afraid of being refuted by the accumulated magic power of the elixir, and also because I understood the seal inside the willow branch, I waited for 3 years. Nowadays, the Tao has made great progress, the magic power has been polished and perfected, and the physical body has nowhere to go. It is indeed necessary to overcome the tribulation. He glanced at the willow branches that had expanded nearly 100 times. With a wave of his hand, he was taken into Chongshan residence and placed with the great witch Jing Shui and the black race. No more enlightenment. Su Junming shook his head. A cultivator's magic power and realm are indispensable. Now that our realm is too high, our magic power has become a shortcoming. It is time to supplement it. Otherwise, no matter how high the realm is, we will not be able to exert our power. The Dragon Emperor nodded. Have you figured out the origin of this thing? No. His eyes turned. Don't look at me, I don't know everything. But having said that, this is the first time I have seen the innate spiritual root that contains the dual magic of King Mu and Space Dao. Su Junming rubbed his chin. I originally thought this was just an innate spiritual root containing Mu Dao, but I discovered it after understanding the seal. This willow branch contains the Dao of space, but it is not as powerful as the aura of the King Mu Dao. Su Junming frowned and groaned. What's wrong? Asked the Dragon Emperor. I want to overcome the tribulation immediately. The talismans of the sealing path and the space path are too heavy on the physical body. Not here. Su Junming nodded. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Become a disciple of Taoist priest 4 eyes. Author, Dong Ren. Chapter 602. The thunder catastrophe of a true immortal is extremely vast and powerful, and for low-level monks, it is easy to leave a psychological shadow, commonly known as the inner demon. It would be fine if it were outside. This is in Dong Tian, the dean of Chongshan Academy, and there are many academy disciples who have achieved the golden elixir. In addition, this cave is not too big. If it is damaged by lightning, it will be troublesome to repair it. With a wave of his hand, green light flashed, and a small green tree 3 feet high appeared above his head. After putting away the palace treasure tree, are you going back to Snake King Temple, or are you staying here? Snake King Temple, Zuch Wolong is about to undergo the tribulation of immortality. As a master, I have to protect him. Su Junming nodded slightly. Don't use the teleportation array this time, use the escape method to rush back. The Dragon Emperor knew that he would not make a mistake, so he looked over with questioning eyes. After the last sermon, I plan to go to King Gluo Valley to capture Wei Feng and Yang and the 8 demons of Sichuan. I also brought back the Dingu Heavenly Book, the 9 Heavens Yuan Yang Ruler and the Soul Gathering Refining Pill. But this time I have to go overseas to escape the tribulation. I'm afraid I won't be able to come back for a while, so you can make a trip for me. The Dragon Emperor nodded. Leave this to me. By the way, after you get the Dingo Heavenly Book, you pass it on to Ling Hun, the poor god, and exchange the first volume and the middle volume in his hands, Su Junming explained. Although he now has no shortage of cultivation techniques, he is still quite curious about the Dingo Heavenly Book, which has many famous names in Shu Mountain and has been passed down for a long time. After explaining to the Dragon Emperor, Su Junming activated his escape method and passed through the teleportation array in Chang'an Cave, instantly crossing thousands of miles and arriving on a deserted island deep in the East China Sea. This is a teleportation array that he left behind when he left last time, so that it would be more convenient when he comes here again. Unexpectedly, it has only been used in the past few years. Looking at the deafening waves around him and the dark and windy night, Su Junming slowly stood up straight after taking a long breath. As if breaking out of a cocoon and turning into a butterfly, in the process of standing up straight, the momentum on his body went from a trickle to a huge wave. The vast spiritual energy vibrates for thousands of miles, and the powerful spiritual light stretches across thousands of miles. In an instant, all the wind and waves within 1,000 miles radius were suppressed by this powerful momentum. There was an eerie tranquility on the rough sea. Boom! It's like the first spring thunder after the cold weather of March 9th. It's like the crazy shout before charging. In an instant, the situation within a radius of 3,000 miles changed. Thick clouds, like wild horses running wild, came with lightning speed and occupied the entire world in an instant. Dark clouds are threatening to destroy the city. The whole sky seemed to be falling down. Boom! Click, click, click. Dazzling thunder and vast electric flowers flashed in the clouds. The blue and white lightning gathered into a piece, like countless huge thunder dragons, galloping back in the dark clouds, so majestic. As the thunder became louder and louder, the lightning flashes became more intense. There was a boom. The world is shaken. A 3-foot-thick thunderbolt, like an arrow from a string, spanned thousands of miles in the blink of an eye and enveloped Su Junming. Standing with his hands behind his back, he let the thunder envelope him. The blue-white electric flowers were like countless knives, cutting his skin crazily. Unfortunately, apart from a slight sting, there was no way to break through his body, which had reached the peak of a low-level military commander. Frowning slightly. I don't like this level of thunder. With a casual finger, a large blue drum released a powerful swallowing power, and the surrounding tribulation thunder was instantly absorbed. The second thunderbolt reached 6 feet. The third thunderbolt reached 9 feet. The fourth thunderbolt reached 12 feet. It wasn't until the seventh lightning strike, which reached 21 feet, that he felt the huge pain coming from his body. However, the pain not only did not make him feel uncomfortable, but his eyes showed excitement. This is interesting. Boom! The eighth 24-foot thunder struck down. Compared with the previous ones, the eighth thunder was not only more numerous, but also several times more powerful. The thunder that has turned into dark blue contains powerful power. The surging thunder light enveloped the whole body. Su Junming's skin and muscles were torn apart by powerful lightning. But the strong bones, muscles and 5 internal organs in his body quickly produced more powerful qi and blood, stimulating the growth of muscles and skin. It was like a life and death confrontation, with neither side giving in. In this confrontation, Su Junming's muscles and skin became stronger through continuous tempering. Kaka kaka. The ninth 27-foot-long thunder struck down. The power of the last thunder tribulation was several times that of the eighth thunder tribulation. The moment it fell on Su Junming was when it was at its strongest. In just an instant, most of the flesh and blood around him was instantly wiped away by the powerful thunder. Amidst the rolling thunder, a tall skeleton stood upright, with all the internal organs inside the skeleton, and it was still beating. If ordinary people saw this weird scene, they would probably go crazy even if they were not frightened to death. Dong dong dong. The beating of the heart was like a huge drum exploding. The movement was no less than thunder. Powerful chi and blood are created by the heart and flow throughout the body. Visible to the naked eye, a little bit of scarlet emerges from the milky white bones, and then quickly gathers and turns into flesh and blood. But before the flesh and blood could fully grow, it was quickly destroyed by thunder. After repeating this 9 times, flesh and blood finally covered his body. A young man with arms and waist, gnarled muscles, and a majestic body looked like a giant mountain left over from ancient times, standing in the middle of a deserted island. Su Junming looked at the thunder disappearing in the sky. I didn't expect that the 9th thunderbolt could only reach this level. He shook his head slightly disappointed. He originally wanted to use the thunder tribulation fire of the true immortal thunder tribulation to train his physical body and bring it to a higher level. He never thought that the elixir he had prepared to assist in body training would not be used, and he could survive the thunderstorm relying only on his body's own hematopoietic function. Although this thunder tribulation still made him physically stronger, it was undoubtedly much less powerful than what he originally expected. Forget it, I hope the next catastrophe can bring some gains. The true immortal tribulation is also called the 59 heavenly tribulations. Divided into thunder, fire, wind, metal, wood, and the most difficult inner demon tribulation. Except for the inner demon tribulation, which is only one, the others are all 9. Su Junming had already experienced the 4 catastrophes of thunder, fire, wind, and metal when he was going through the immortal tribulation, but this time it was just more powerful. The 2 calamities of thunder and gold, one with violent thunder and the other with sharp golden sword, all come from the outside in. The 2 disasters of wind and fire, one is yin wind and the other is yin fire, both come from the inside out, burning through the 5 internal organs and blowing out the intestines. The 5th wood calamity was also from the inside to the outside, allowing Su Junming to truly understand what it was like to have grass growing under his feet and trees growing above his head. The feeling of watching your body slowly become wooden and stiff is really uncomfortable. As for the inner demon tribulation that everyone feared the most, for Su Junming, it was the best one to survive. However, he did not use the bronze mirror from the beginning. As he cultivates his soul, he easily knows what he desires most in his heart. So, he allowed his inner demons to drag him back to reflect on his previous life on earth. He was born as a rich second generation with a golden key in his mouth, and then as someone else's child, he was admitted to Udaoka Technical College. After studying abroad for several years and obtaining 3 doctorates in business administration, economics, and financial engineering, he returned to China to inherit the family business. Then he pioneered and innovated, and became the richest man in China along the way. In addition to career success, there are also constant peach blossoms in life. The lovely wife and concubine, not only harmonious, but also all vying to give birth to a monkey for him. Where can you go to reason? Looking at the life surrounded by wives and concubines, Su Junming sighed. Although I know it's fake, I have no regrets after experiencing it so truly. Hearing this, a woman who looked like Wang Zuxian and held a 6 or 7-year-old child next to her turned her head. Isn't this a bad life? A beautiful wife, beautiful concubines, children and grandchildren around your knees, a dignified palace, and a prosperous family business. How many people can only dream of it? In comparison, training hard in the cold and summer, seclusion in the mountains and swamps all year round, and living with animals, isn't it the greatest suffering in the world? Haha, so everyone has their own ambitions. This is not my ambition. A mysterious light lit up in the palm of his hand, and the expressions of all the wives and concubines present changed. Just as they were about to speak, Su Junming suddenly smacked forward. Crash, like a broken mirror. There was a scream in my mind. That was the sound of inner demons being slain. Looking at the rough desert island in front of him, Su Junming sighed. If you are serious, I can't keep you for a few more days. I know it's a lie, so there's no need for me to continue wasting my time. Something moved in my heart. Look up. In mid-air, a line of hundreds of feet thick and extremely rich innate spiritual energy poured in from the top door. Thanks to this blessing, Su Junming's body instantly broke through the ranks of low-grade generals and advanced to mid-grade. The area of the Danshan expanded rapidly, and the heavenly immortal turned into a real immortal. The pressure of the seal and space talismans disappeared for the most part in an instant. Just like previous breakthroughs, the bronze mirror absorbed the spiritual energy of creation, and some of the patina on its body peeled off again. The clear water-like mirror light enveloped Su Junming's soul. For a moment, an infinitely heightened enlightenment surged into his heart. He had long been accustomed to this, and had planned the principles he wanted to understand before going through the tribulation. Soul said. The last time he forcibly separated the swallowing thief soul, his soul was injured. He hoped to take advantage of the opportunity of making great progress in the soul path to repair the soul injury. Under the blessing of the bronze mirror, the true meaning of the soul path continued to flow into the sea of consciousness, and soon surpassed the seal path and space path, becoming the first among all paths. Seeing that there was still time, Su Junming did not comprehend the 12 fundamental principles, but focused on destiny. The most mysterious of these 3,000 avenues is the most difficult to understand. Originally, Su Junming's understanding of him was just that of entering the immortal state for the first time. Even so, it can crush the entire Shushan world. This time, with the help of the bronze mirror, the path of destiny made great progress again, and soon broke through the realm of true immortals. The moment it broke into the true immortal, Su Junming felt that most of the emotions in his heart were instantly reduced, and his whole person became indifferent. It happened that at this moment, the magical power of the bronze mirror disappeared, and his understanding instantly declined. Su Junming also fell from the state of enlightenment. The apathy gradually disappeared. Phew, damn it! The path of destiny is too weird. If it's any later, I'm afraid I will become a puppet of the path. Shaked his head. I secretly made up my mind that in the future, unless I have no choice, I will never use the strong understanding I had when I broke through the realm to understand the way of destiny. After taking a few deep breaths to calm down, he looked at the destiny talisman that was 10 times more powerful. Right now, I'm afraid there aren't many people in Qi County and China who can break through my secret blockade. Become a disciple of Taoist priest 4 Eyes. Author, Dong Ren. Chapter 603. Chapter 591, Ancestor Yin and Yang. He moved his body slightly, feeling the huge mana and amazing energy and blood in his body, with a look of satisfaction on his face. I haven't felt this relaxed in a long time. In the past year, the sealing talisman and the space talisman have put increasing pressure on him. If he hadn't understood the first seal in the willow branches and didn't want to waste all his efforts at the critical moment, he would have overcome the disaster long ago. Looking around, no one was watching. In order to place the teleportation array, he deliberately found this desert island in the harsh waters at the junction of the East China Sea and the North Sea. The sea area is vast, and although the range of his tribulation was as high as 3,000 miles, he did not attract any attention. In this case, Su Junming was not in a hurry to leave. Having just broken through the realm, he also needs time to stabilize his cultivation, adjust his breathing and mana, and stabilize his realm. He sat down cross-legged again, separated a Dharma body to protect him, and then his mind sank into his body. The surging energy, blood, and magic power started to circulate at the same time. The extremely rich golden red aura filled the entire body, boiling like a roaring flame. 3 feet above the head, a thick layer of 6-foot Qingyuan stretched out, and Hunyuan Ruyi's magic power hung down, protecting the whole body. Above Qingyuan is a 3rd-grade green lotus the size of a basin. Inside the green lotus are 9 lotus seeds the size of a child's fist. Inside each lotus seed is Su Junming's commonly used natal magic weapon. Among the 9 lotus seeds, there is a dao fruit as big as the mouth of a bowl, as white as jade, exuding thousands of colors and rays of light. There are dots of stars in the dao fruit, as if it contains the endless starry sky, giving people a sense of mystery. After advancing to the level of true immortal, the King Yuan, Dharma appearance, and Tao fruit above Su Junming's head all changed. 1 year later, a black escaping light spanned the sky. What was strange was that this escaping light swayed left and right, like a snake, instead of flying in a straight line. Suddenly, a black hole appeared from mid-air. The bright sword light flashed out from the hole, like the Milky Way in the 9 heavens, slashing straight towards the black escaping light. Boom! A huge earthquake in the clear sky. After the escape light was shattered, a middle-aged man wearing a black and white robe, with triangular eyes and a thin face flew out. What's strange is that a few feet above his head, there is a light yellow boulder several feet in size, shining with rich aura. This boulder shed a lot of spiritual light, blocking the sword energy from outside. Junior Zudge, don't bully others too much, the middle-aged man said angrily. Humph, Ancestor Yin Yang, for hundreds of years you have caused harm to hundreds of innocent girls in the 3 northern provinces. You have committed so many evil deeds that it is too numerous to describe. Today, I will seek justice for them. Wearing a green Taoist robe, with a blue sword box on his back, the majestic and heroic young man raised his sword finger in his right hand. With a sword move, the silver-white flying sword floated beside him, and his sword energy soared into the sky. Flying dragon sword style. In an instant, the sword light was like a sharp arrow, and it shot directly at the ancestor of Yin and Yang. Seeing this scene, Patriarch Yin Yang's expression suddenly changed. As soon as the magic formula was activated, thick light yellow spiritual energy hung down from the spiritual stone above his head. The sword energy collided with it, as if it had hit an extremely solid mountain, exploding into a shower of flowers. Junior Zudge, no matter how powerful your heavenly dragon sword is, it can't do anything to my Xian Huang divine stone. A light flashed under the feet of the boy carrying the sword, and an awning boat, 1 foot and 9 feet long, with a pale gold body, embossed dragon patterns on the surface, and a rich spiritual light appeared. The young man put away his flying sword, activated the spirit boat under his feet, and crashed directly towards the ancestor of Yin and Yang. Feeling the majestic energy emanating from the black-topped boat, Patriarch Yin Yang's expression suddenly changed and he quickly activated his magic power. The light shed by the spirit stone instantly thickened several times. Boom! An astonishing loud noise exploded in mid-air. It was like sparks hitting the earth, and the aura disintegrating all over the sky. The young man with the sword on his back and the awning boat under his feet were blown hundreds of feet away. Damn, this guy's turtle shell is so hard. I feel angry. He chased the yin-yang ancestor for millions of miles, from the Middle Earth to the East China Sea, and fought nearly 100 times. Every time he gained the upper hand and was about to kill the opponent with his sword, he was blocked by the stone above his head. Come down. Even my own Tai golden dragon boat couldn't break this turtle shell. However, although the ancestor of Yin and Yang was not injured, he was knocked backwards and flew out. The energy and blood in his body was churning, and he almost couldn't spit it out. Looking at the ugly-faced young man carrying a sword across from him, he felt quite angry. Junior Zudge, we have fought nearly 100 times. You can't do anything to me, and I can't beat you. How about we shake hands and make peace? As soon as he finished speaking, he patted the magic bag, and a silver white stone the size of a watermelon slowly flew out. The seal on it was removed, and the extremely rich Zhengjin spiritual energy emitted from the stone. Yuan Yang Spirit Iron. Haha, fellow Taoist Zudge really has a good eye. This piece of Yuan Yang spiritual iron was obtained by chance. If fellow Taoist Zudge is open-minded, I am willing to offer this spiritual iron with both hands. The expression of the young man carrying the sword changed instantly, appearing hesitant. When Patriarch Yin Yang saw that there was a door, he quickly stepped up his offensive and reached out to take out a jade box from his magic bag. After changing several seals in the palm, the jade box instantly expanded and became 7 feet in size. The jade also became transparent, and a beautiful woman with a stunning appearance and tall figure appeared in front of her. There were only a few pieces of gauze covering the sensitive parts of her body. Not only did it not cover up, but it added to the allure. Looking at the changing expressions of the boy carrying the sword, the ancestor of Yin and Yang spoke in a seductive tone. This girl is Den Yuchen, the most beautiful girl in Luoyang City. She is not only talented and beautiful, but also good at playing chess, calligraphy, and painting. She has a rare set of immortal roots and bones. I spent a lot of time to get her. As long as you give up here, I will not only give this girl to you, but also teach you a set of Yin and Yang harmony scriptures. When the time comes, you and Den Yuchen will practice together on the bed together. Not only will your cultivation be improved, but you will also be able to experience the ultimate happiness in the world. How? After hesitating for a while, the boy carrying the sword looked calm, as if he had made up his mind. Do you really mean what you say? Ancestor Yin Yang nodded quickly. We had fought nearly 100 times before, and the guy on the other side always raised his sword to kill him. Finally, when he got the chance, he opened his mouth to seduce him, so of course he had to seize it. In addition to this girl, you also want to give me the Yin and Yang spirit iron just now. Although the ancestor of Yin and Yang felt a lot of pain, in order to avoid this big trouble, he nodded quickly. No problem. In that case, bring the things over, the young man with the sword said. Hey, don't worry. The young man carrying the sword frowned. What, you want to regret it? Of course not, it's just that my Taoist friend is good at the Huishan method. If I get my treasure and beauty but go back on my word, wouldn't I lose a lot? What do you think? Hee, it's very simple. According to this, there is a mullet island thousands of miles away. This island extends for hundreds of miles, has thin spiritual energy, and is extremely remote. I will leave this beauty to my fellow Taoist first, and at the same time I will trouble you to stay here for half a day. An hour. After half an hour, I will leave this Yin and Yang spirit iron on Wu Island, and it won't be too late for fellow Taoist to pick it up. The boy carrying the sword smiled calmly. Aren't you afraid that I will sneak up behind you? Afraid? Of course I'm afraid. Patriarch Yin Yang spread out his left palm, and 2 spiritual talismans, one black and one white, slowly emerged. This is the spiritual talisman practiced by our ancestors. It's called Yin Yang Qianji. Yin is the mother and Yang is the auxiliary. Fellow Taoist, I only need to leave a trace of consciousness in this Yang talisman, and I can use this Yin talisman to determine the path friend's location and distance. The talisman is good. But what if you run away? This Yin and Yang talisman, the Yang talisman can also determine the position and distance of the Yin talisman. If I take the opportunity to escape, fellow Taoists can follow the guidance of the talisman to catch me. The boy carrying the sword hesitated for a moment and then nodded. As you said, give me the talisman and the woman. Patriarch Yin Yang waved his hand, and the spirit talisman and jade box flew straight towards the boy carrying the sword, neither fast nor slow. Both sides keep an eye on each other. Just when the jade box arrived on the awning boat and was less than 2 feet away from the young man, the ancestor of Yin and Yang showed a smile of successful conspiracy on his face. You brat, you were fooled. Before he could finish his words, several black space passages suddenly opened 3 feet away from him, and a brilliant sword light struck them like lightning. At the same time, the jade box containing the beautiful woman suddenly burst, and the stunning beauty instantly turned into a skeleton. She opened her mouth and sprayed out a mist of Yin and Yang, which seemed to be fast and slow, but only hit the young man carrying the sword in front of his face. A silver-white phantom of the divine gate flashed past, and with a flash of inspiration, the yin and yang mist and the skeleton were instantly solidified. Tisk, jingle, jingle. Ancestor Yin and Yang quickly urged his treasure to block the sword energy, and took out the elixir from his magic bag and drank it. A sharp sword mark, from shoulder to hip, almost cut him in half. Fortunately, he had been on guard and never removed the spiritual stone above his head, otherwise he would have died on the spot. Damn it, you actually plotted against me. Ancestor Yin Yang said angrily. There was a trace of regret on the face of the young man carrying the sword. He paralyzed the old demon with his words and made him relax his vigilance a little. Then he activated the Tianlong sword and gave him a hard blow. Unfortunately, the magical weapon above his head was too powerful. With just a little power, it blocked his own immortal sword. Don't we, you, the pink skeleton, the yin-yang white-bone god and demon want to plot against me? Ancestor Yin-Yang narrowed his eyes slightly. Did you see through it from the beginning? What else do you think? After his face changed and a hint of disbelief flashed in his eyes, the Yin-Yang patriarch took a deep breath. Okay, no wonder you can advance to the fairyland at such a young age. You really have extraordinary eyesight. But I have the black and yellow sacred stone to protect me. You can't even think about taking me down. Then we'll see. The boy carrying the sword snorted coldly. If you defend for a long time, you will lose. He doesn't believe that the other party can keep escaping. After giving him a fierce look, the ancestor of Yin and Yang turned around and ran away. The boy with the sword was about to follow, but his expression changed and he suddenly stopped. I don't know when, the bad waves and storms all around me disappeared. An eerie calm enveloped the surrounding area for thousands of miles. Ancestor Yin Yang also instantly noticed this strange appearance. He was quite alert and quickly activated the black and yellow divine stone to protect himself in the middle. The young man with the sword on his back also urged him to sit down on the spirit boat and protect his whole body. Become a disciple of Taoist priest Four Eyes. Author, Dong Ren. Chapter 604. Boom. Suddenly, the water churns. A huge amount of sea water rolled up thousands of feet. In an instant, the sky turned dark. A sky holding giant palm several thousand feet tall, made entirely of billions of tons of sea water, emerged in mid-air. Looking at the huge palm that even covered the sky, the ancestors of Yin Yang and the young man carrying the sword changed their expressions and ran away quickly in unison. However, no matter how they escaped, the huge palm stretched across half of the sky and shrouded their heads. But the boy carrying the sword discovered that the giant palm was chasing the yin-yang ancestor more than him. My heart was shocked, and the urge to smash the projection of the celestial elephant gate calmed down. Ancestor yin-yang, as a long-standing earth immortal, also observed the details carefully. After noticing the abnormality, he flew directly towards the boy carrying the sword. But before he could fly 100 meters, the giant palm holding the sky suddenly fell down. Billions of tons of sea water flew down, and its momentum was no worse than that of a huge mountain collapsing or a meteor hitting the ground. That astonishing momentum shook the mind and was extremely terrifying. In an instant, a strong pressure came down. Ancestor Yin Yang felt a pressure from the ancient giant mountain, and his body fell involuntarily. Boom! A loud noise like earth-shattering. The sea water within a radius of thousands of miles was like a volcano erupting, rising nearly 10,000 feet into the sky before falling. The rolling waves are like passing hurricanes, sweeping tens of thousands of miles around the sea. The boy carrying the sword tried his best to move the Tai Golden Dragon boat and withstood the power of heaven and earth. His face was full of shock. The advancement of the Earth Fairy Queen was full of ambition, but in the face of this earth-shaking change, she was beaten to pieces. The giant aqua palm flew out from the sea, slowly became smaller, and fell straight towards the desert island below. The boy carrying the sword hesitated for a moment, then gritted his teeth. He urged the spirit boat under his seat to fly down. The giant aqua palm became smaller and smaller, and soon became 1 foot long, revealing the shadow of the yin-yang ancestor inside. It's just that his description was a bit bleak at the moment. His hair was disheveled, his body was bleeding, his eyes were bulging, and his orifices were bleeding. He looked embarrassed, as if he had been ravaged thousands of times. However, the boy carrying the sword could sense the breath of life on his body, and it was obvious that he was not dead. The fist landed on the desert island and floated behind a tall young Taoist wearing a green Taoist robe, with a green gourd tied to a gold rope around his waist, and a majestic and vast aura. Seeing the other party, the young man with the sword showed disbelief on his face. Liu Yun. The young man carrying the sword suddenly became happy and suddenly turned over and knelt down in front of the young Taoist priest in anticipation of respect. Zhuge Liu Yun pays homage to his ancestor. Su Junming also didn't expect to meet Yan Qixia's eldest disciple Zhuge Liu Yun here. Su Junming valued this third-generation disciple who took the form of an innate spirit and was the first to achieve immortality. After he became an immortal, he was even given a middle-grade immortal weapon, the Tai Golden Dragon Bow to protect his path, and a green lotus immortal root to suppress the cave with him. Would you like to get up? After Zhuge Liu Yun stood up, he stood aside respectfully. Su Junming pointed his finger, and the rock next to him instantly turned into a bluestone futon. Sit. Thank you, Patriarch. After flying up and sitting on it. You came here after chasing this guy. Hui ancestor, exactly, this person's name is Yin Wuji, and he is called Yin Yang Patriarch. He founded his own Yin Yang sect in Wangguo Mountain, and he has many disciples including Yin Yang Xiao Sidu Lei, Xiangwu Jinren Fengwu, etc. specializes in doing prostitute things. Although they rarely commit murder, there are hundreds of women who die every year after their reputation is ruined. They are actually a major harm to several northern provinces. The disciple upholds the way of chivalry, eliminates harm for the people, and strangles all the followers of the yin-yang section. However, I did not expect that Yin Wuji's cultivation and Taoism are not outstanding, but there is a treasure called the Xianhuang Divine Stone for self-protection. My disciple fought with him for nearly 100 times, and every time he gained the upper hand, he was blocked by the black-yellow sacred stone and could not capture and kill the beast. He chased him all the way here, but he never expected to encounter the ancestor here. Su Jun nodded clearly. He reached out and made a move, and a spiritual light flew from behind, fell in front of him and turned into a dark yellow stone as big as a water tank. Is this the Xianhuang Divine Stone you are talking about? It is this treasure. Patriarch, you are proficient in the art of refining weapons, but do you know how this treasure is made? It is so powerful. This baby's sacrificial training techniques are ordinary. It can block your Tian longsword and Tai Golden Dragon Boat entirely because of its extraordinary material. Please also ask the ancestor for advice. Su Junming nodded slightly. Do you know the Mother Earth's energy? Master once told me that the Mother Earth Chi is a divine creature that contains the Earth Emperor Dao and the Dao of creation. It is innately capable of creating all things and carrying the great power of all living beings. It is very containing. After he finished speaking, his eyes widened with excitement. You mean? That's right, this stone contains the innate Mother Chi of Taishi Earth. Is it really this divine thing? Zhuge Liu Yun said. You're lucky. This stone can be used to refine a top-quality immortal weapon. It will be enough for you to become a golden immortal in the future. Ancestor, Patriarch Yin Yang is yours to capture this treasure. He waved his hand to interrupt him. It's enough for you to have this kind of filial piety. Your master, I have no shortage of treasures for self-defense. This sacred stone left with me is just a collection, so you should keep it. In the future, you will slay demons and don't fall into my Chongshan mountain. The prestige of Pulse is my best reward for my ancestor. Zhuge Liu Yun's throat surged, and his heart was filled with gratitude. bang, turned over and fell to his knees. My disciples must be extremely cruel and protect our Chongshan lineage. If you violate this oath, you will be punished by heaven and earth, and ghosts and gods will not tolerate it. Good boy, get up. Yes. Patriarch, what should I do with this ancestor of yin and yang? Your fourth master will handle it. As soon as he finished speaking, a small green tree rushed out from above his head. Follow me. The two of them flew into Chongshan residence, one behind the other, and straight into the Tiangong Hall. Although it was not the first time for Zhuge Liuyun to come here, he was still amazed at the exquisiteness of the ancestors' weapon refining methods when he saw the majestic, ancient, and ingenious Tiangong divine furnace again. I can't imagine how such a powerful divine furnace was forged. He had also dabbled in the art of refining weapons back then, but the ratio of various materials and the configuration of the formations and spiritual restraints were endlessly variable, comparable to the stars in the sky. A little mistake, and the result will be completely different. He really didn't like it, so he gave up. Give me your Tianlong sword. Zhuge Liuyun came to his senses and quickly handed over the Tianlong sword and the sword box behind him. Su Junming flipped his hand, and a piece of silver-white spiritual iron the size of a watermelon flew out. It was the same piece that the ancestor of yin and yang, Yinwuji, had seduced him before. With this piece of yin and yang spiritual iron, your heavenly dragon sword will be able to refine another prohibition and advance to a mid-grade immortal weapon. It will then make it easier for you to imprint the laws of swordsmanship and save you countless hard work. After saying this, he threw it away, and the sword box and yin yang spirit iron flew into a lotus furnace at the same time and sank into the Tiangong divine furnace. Also flying in at the same time was the Xianhuang divine stone that had just been obtained. With a casual wave of his hand, a purple forsythia long sword flew into Zhuge Liuyun's hand. Feeling the extremely powerful innate sword energy in the long sword. Master, this is the Imei sect's most precious treasure. The purple Ying sword is a low-grade innate divine sword that contains the laws of swordsmanship. Please stay with me and learn about it for a while. Zhuge Liuyun's face showed expectation. He studied under Yan Chixia, majoring in swordsmanship. The innate divine sword that contains the laws of swordsmanship is the best teacher. Disciple, thank you, Patriarch. After nodding slightly, go ahead. Disciple resigns. Zhuge Liuyun held the purple Ying sword in his hand, retreated to a distance, sat down cross-legged, and soon entered the state of forgetfulness of things and myself. It didn't take long, and a series of extremely sharp sword auras surrounded him like smoke and clouds. Su Junming nodded with satisfaction. This boy is truly worthy of being an innate spiritual body that is suitable for the way of swordsmanship. His understanding of the way of swordsmanship is even better than mine. A third-generation disciple of the Chongshan lineage, with this person around, he is no different. Relaxed, he turned to look at the Tiangong divine furnace. After all, he is also the chief disciple of the third generation of my Chongshan Academy, and the treasures that accompany him cannot be missed. Thinking of this, Su Junming patted the green gourd on his waist, and streams of light flew into the Tiangong divine furnace. Manipulating the fairy fire to refine the impurities in the spiritual materials is the simplest step in the entire refining process. After Su Junming left an incarnation to handle, he stood up and walked out of the Tiangong Hall and went to the creation spirit pond at the back. In the three-color creation spiritual water, the creation spiritual embryo 9 aperture divine stone is already continuously absorbing the surrounding spiritual energy. Through the bronze mirror, you can see a child inside, who is fat and has kind eyes, about 6 or 7 years old, rising and falling in the surging spiritual energy. Surrounding the child is a dark clay jar. The jar is 1 foot 3 inches high, its mouth is 7 inches in diameter, and its widest point is 9 inches. There are only 3 ears on the slightly rough tank body. There is a sculpture with a goat body and a human face crouching on the lid. The whole jar is filled with the rich flavor of swallowing. After paying attention for a moment, Su Junming shook his head. If this thief-swallowing soul Dharma body wants to be born, it will only be possible after his soul injury has healed and the thieving soul-swallowing soul has fully matured. Now, it's still very early. Next to the 9-aperture sacred stone, there are 3 Bodhi golden lotuses, 6 creation green lotuses, and a black and white parallel lotus, Albizia julibrissin. After years of cultivation, he originally had 4 Bodhi lotuses. One of them was used by him in exchange for the mysterious willow branch with Fenchua. The green lotus of creation was originally a white lotus. Later, it was nourished by the spiritual water of creation and advanced to the level of immortal root. It slowly changed from white lotus to green lotus. There were originally 12 flowers, which were given to Chiao Shaoxin and her 4 disciples respectively. Gongsun Juniang, Ning Keichin, Situ Minjiao, and Jin Yun. And Zuj Liu Yun. Now there are only 6 left here. Su Junming did not hesitate to reward his disciples with a large number of Bodhi golden lotus and good fortune green lotus. As long as a few are used as roots, if more are left here, they won't be of much use. Su Junming patted the gourd on his waist, and another lotus with black and white lotus heads growing side by side slowly flew out. It is completely similar to the Albizia julibrissin in the creation spirit pond, and has the same breath. However, compared to the one in the pond, the one just obtained from yin-yang ancestor obviously took longer to grow. The 2 lotus heads are as big as a water tank. It contains an extremely abundant innate harmony of yin and yang. That yin-yang ancestor is really lucky. This yin-yang albizia lotus has been growing for at least 90,000 years. If it hadn't been suppressed by the black and yellow sacred stone, it would have turned into an immortal long ago. After catching an enemy, he would use the human soul gate to check his memory and search for useful techniques and secrets. This was a habit that Su Junming had formed over the years. The same is true for the ancestors of yin and yang. Therefore, he also knew how the other party obtained the Xian Huang divine stone and the Albizia julibrissin. After the lotus slowly fell into the creation spiritual water, Su Junming stretched out his hand and a restriction was instantly generated in the creation spiritual pond, covering the 2 Albizia julibrissinis in the middle. Albizia julibrissin contains the innate harmony of yin and yang, which not only allows people to understand the relationship between yin and yang, but also makes women pregnant instantly. I think back then, Lu Rongbo, who was at the peak of his golden elixir cultivation, had received the harmonious energy of yin and yang from the yin and yang albizia lotus, which was only 3,000 years old, and gave birth to stone. Now this 90,000-year-old albizia julibrissin, even if the golden immortal inhales its yin and yang and combined energy, it will still give birth to a spiritual fetus. It's even more powerful than the water in the Zimu River in Ziliang Women's Kingdom in Journey to the West. Su Junming had foresight and used San Ke Shenmen to protect himself early, so that he did not get hit. Otherwise, it would be really embarrassing for him, a grown man, to be pregnant. This was also his original intention of setting up the forbidden formation. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Become a disciple of Taoist priest 4 eyes. Author, Dong Ren. Chapter 605. Step into the spiritual island of creation. The almost liquefied spiritual energy of heaven and earth surrounds the whole body. The eyes are filled with red flowers, willows, and green trees, and all kinds of spiritual roots and celestial grasses. They are almost all rare and rare treasures in the world of cultivation. Some large and small ginseng dolls, Ganoderma oxen and horses, Ganoderma rabbits and other elves of various colors, carrying small baskets and small medicine hose on their backs, shuttled among various elixirs, loosening the soil, watering, catching insects, or fertilizing is very busy. Proud of the unique attributes that the aura of creation can give to life, Coupled with the abundant aura, the number of elves who have achieved the success of Su Junming's various elixirs and herbs has grown over time, and there have been more and more elves. Now there are nearly 200 people in the entire Creation Spirit Island. Among them, Ziji, who has the highest level of cultivation, already has Yuan Shen cultivation level. Thanks to them, the 3 low-grade innate spiritual roots, 14 immortal roots, 367 kinds of cave-level spiritual roots, and 8,396 spiritual plants planted here by Su Junming can thrive. Keep blossoming and bearing fruit. Master. A 5-foot-tall young man, wearing a green Taoist robe, a dagger on his back, a medicine basket and a hoe hanging on his waist, and a Ganoderma lucidum crown on his head, emerged from the soil. After nodding slightly, he spread his hands. Plant these yin-yang grass and langui plants. As the leader of the sect and a powerful figure in the middle stage of Earth Immortal, Patriarch Yin-Yang has many good things in his pocket besides the black and yellow sacred stone and albizia julabrisin. Yin-Yang grass and orchid osman thus are 2 of them. They are all the spiritual roots of the top level of insight. After Zizi took it over. Is the 7 treasures spirit gourd mature? Only the first red gourd is ripe. Su Junming nodded and walked to a piece of purple stone. A jade-like gourd vine grew on the stone. Among the complex leaves of the gourd vine, there are 7 gourds of different sizes, red, orange, yellow, green, purple, black and white. The largest red gourd is the size of an adult's hand, and the smallest white gourd is only the size of a thumb. The 7 gourds bloom with 7 colored rays of light, and the entire gourd vine reflected in them is colorful and sacred. Su Junming took a step forward and entered within 10 feet of the gourd vine. In an instant, the scenery in front of me changed. The purple rock that was once only 1 foot high has become a 300-foot mountain. The coiled gourd vines look like a giant green dragon, climbing up the mountain. The red gourd that was once the size of an adult's hand now grew to a size of 12 feet, and the brilliant red glow shone hundreds of feet around it. Su Junming could feel the rich flame energy on the red gourd without using any means. You are indeed mature. This gourd immortal root was obtained from the Kunlun sect when he was in the world of Liuzai. Originally it was only a high-grade immortal root, but later it was nourished by the creation spiritual pond, and it was promoted to another level. After 200 years of hard work and countless inspirations, the first red gourd finally matured. With a gesture of his hand, the red gourd shook a few times, fell from the vine, and flew slowly towards Su Junming. As the distance increased, the red gourd also gradually shrank, gradually becoming 1 foot 3 inches in size. Of course, it's not that the red gourd has become smaller, but that Su Junming used some space methods. Divine consciousness immersed. Although the red gourd is made of immortal roots, the shell of the gourd is made of solidified fire aura, which is extremely pure. And it was solidified into a shell by an innate immortality, making it extremely hard. His consciousness continued to deepen, and a strong burning sensation came instantly. Hiss, what a strong flame! It can be seen through the bronze mirror that there are 2 huge spaces inside the gourd. The previous one is slightly smaller, 9,000 feet long. The latter one is the largest, about 30,000 feet. The 2 spaces were filled with monstrous golden red flames. In the center of the flames in the previous space, there was a 3-foot-sized flame Ganoderma floating. In the center of the flames in the next space, there is a 10-foot-long Hua Ruyi suspended. Whether it is Ganoderma lucidum or Ruyi, it is actually the condensation of fire. However, there are differences in the levels between the 2 sides. Flame Ganoderma is the top-grade fairy fire Jian spiritual flame, while Hua Ruyi is the top-grade fairy fire Ruyi spiritual flame. After inspecting the red gourd, Su Junming was satisfied but also felt a little pity. Although the power of this gourd is comparable to many low-grade innate spiritual treasures, it is only acquired. There is no law of fire in it, and it cannot assist enlightenment like the innate spiritual treasures can. There are so many monks in the world, how can innate spiritual treasures be so easy to obtain? He shook his head, feeling that he was a little too greedy. Looking at the gourd in his hand. Just call it fire cloud gourd. After casually pocketing the gourd and taking a few three-color peaches to refine the elixir, Su Junming exited the Creation Spirit Island. Back at the Tiangong Hall, Zhuge Liuyun was still meditating on the Ziying sword, and the sword energy emanating from his body had already surrounded him for 3 feet. 3 feet above King Yun's head, a third-grade blue lotus bloomed, holding a sword-shaped Taoist fruit inside. Just like her master Yan Chixia, she exudes the awe-inspiring sword spirit of slaying demons and protecting the common people. Next to Daokyo, there is a silver flying sword, a bright yellow bead, a green awning boat, and a small valley surrounded by white clouds, occupying the positions of the 4 elephants of Qinglong, White Tiger, Suzaku, and Suanwuo, and the sword form, Tao, and fruit complement each other. However, compared to the other 3 pieces, the current Tianlong sword is just a shadow. Its true body is still being practiced in the divine furnace of Tiangong. In addition to the Tianlong sword, the bright yellow pillar is the Tianhuang pearl that Su Junming used to practice with relics, which has the effect of subduing external demons and protecting the soul. It was originally in Yan Chixia's hands, but later he didn't need it after he advanced to become a heavenly immortal, so he gave it to his eldest disciple Zhuge Liuyun. The black-topped boat is a Tai golden dragon boat that can be used both offensively and defensively, and is extremely fast in flight. The small valley is a direct descendant of the Chongshan Mountains, and each person carries a piece of it with him, the Jianlu of the cave. Perhaps because of his relationship with his master Yan Chixia, both he and Pang Xian, who had just started practicing, liked to call their portable cave Jianlu. After watching for a moment, Su Junming nodded with satisfaction. As the 3rd-generation chief disciple of the Chongshan lineage, although Zhuge Liuyun became an immortal only 9 years ago, his solid foundation and extraordinary understanding are enough to support his reputation as the 3rd-generation disciple of Chongshan Academy. Withdrawing his gaze and looking at the blazing Tiangong divine furnace, Su Junming thought briefly and patted the green gourd on his waist. Several streams of light flew into the furnace. Now I should be able to refine a top-grade immortal weapon. Looking at the black and yellow sacred stone that was gradually refined by the innate spiritual fire in the furnace, Su Junming took a breath, calmed down, activated his magic power, and understood the mysterious world. Gradually, the shadow of a magic weapon gradually took shape in the sea of consciousness. The moment it was finalized, Su Junming's hand seals flew into the divine furnace. The black and yellow divine stone that had been refined into a slurry slowly began to change. One of them achieved enlightenment, the other refined treasures, and another year passed in the blink of an eye. Become a disciple of Taoist priest 4 Eyes. Author, Dong Ren. Chapter 606. Suddenly, the spiritual energy in Tiangong Hall surged violently. This change alarmed Zhuge Liuyun, who was in the process of enlightenment. When he opened his eyes, he saw that the Tiangong divine furnace was surrounded by wisps of dense aura, like clouds and mist, almost condensing into shapes. The several transom windows of the divine furnace were filled with red flames. You can clearly feel the scorching heat of burning mountains and boiling seas without looking. Scold! Su Junming suddenly shouted. 2 streams of light soared into the sky from the divine furnace. After passing through the double blockade of Chongshan residence and palace base without any obstruction, he came to the outside world. It was noon at this moment, and the scorching sunshine was venting its light and heat unscrupulously. The bare rocks were as hot as fire. Suddenly, 2 streams of light flew high into the sky from the rocks. In an instant, the originally clear sky above the sea was instantly shrouded by black clouds coming at lightning speed. Boom, click. Dazzling thunder accumulated in the thicker and thicker clouds. The mighty power of heaven covers thousands of miles. This sea surface was enveloped in a strange tranquility. It's disturbing and scary. It's like disaster is coming. As the dark clouds got lower and lower, the sky suddenly turned blue and white. Two dazzling thunderbolts fell down. One light blue, one light red. Weak at the front and strong at the back. Immediately afterwards, deafening thunder swept across thousands of miles of sea. However, this is just the beginning. The vast thunder struck down one after another. Compared with the natural catastrophes of sentient beings, there are many catastrophes such as wind, fire, thunder, metal, wood, and earth, yin and yang, and inner demons. Relatively speaking, weapon calamity is simple and crude, only thunder. Middle grade immortal weapon, thunder tribulation, 45 ways. Top grade immortal weapon, thunder tribulation, 54 ways. Fortunately, Su Junming has a high level of refining treasures and uses excellent materials. The two immortal weapons finally survived all the catastrophes and enjoyed the aura of creation given by heaven after they advanced. The thunder clouds in the sky dispersed, and under the bright sunshine, two spiritual lights flew down. Arriving 3 feet away from Su Junming, it transformed into a silver-white flying sword with a sharp aura and rich fairy light. Another spiritual light turned into a small dark yellow octagonal tower. The tower is divided into 7 floors, each floor has 8 sides, and each side is engraved with a talisman. On the base of the tower, the 4-character divine pattern of Xian Huang Lingta is engraved. After holding it in his hand and playing with it for a while, Su Junming was satisfied but also a little regretful. This Xian Huang spirit pagoda only cultivated the 9 immortal forbidden realms. Although it was also a top-notch high-grade immortal weapon, it failed to fully utilize the potential of the Xian Huang divine stone. Of course, if forced to practice, he can also refine the best immortal weapons. However, due to the level of weapon refining, he did not bother to continue the work. With a wave of his hand, the 2 treasures flew towards Zhuge Liu Yun. Both treasures have been refined, please take a look. After witnessing the vast thunder before, Zhuge Liu Yun had long been looking forward to the 2 treasures. Thank you, Patriarch. Take the 2 treasures. Although the grade of Xian Huang Spirit Pagoda is obviously higher than that of Tianlong Sword, the latter is his own spiritual sword, so of course he must investigate it immediately. The spiritual consciousness is immersed, and the sword energy, which is far thicker than before, is reflected in the sea of consciousness. 1, 2, 3, there are 6 immortal forbidden paths, connected to each other and arranged in an orderly manner. Every etching is as if it was carved by nature, just right. None are superfluous. Zhuge Liu Yun was greatly impressed by this extremely exquisite weapon refining skill. With this sword, he no longer needs to practice before he reaches the peak of true immortal. Invisibly, a huge amount of time and energy is saved. Satisfied, he put away the Tianlong sword and examined the spiritual pagoda again. At first, Zhuge Wolong's face was full of surprise and admiration, but as he turned to the right, his brows started to wrinkle. Open your eyes, hold the Dingling pagoda in both hands, and bend down to salute. Please master, please take back this tower. What, you're not satisfied? Su Junming asked in surprise. Although the Xian Huang Spirit Pagoda did not fully utilize the essence of the Xian Huang Divine Stone, as the first high-grade immortal weapon that he practiced, he used many auxiliary materials that he had collected before and spent countless efforts to cultivate this treasure. The 7-layer pagoda has 42 spiritual talismans, each with its own magical function. If activated at the same time, with the help of the power of the Mother Earth's energy, it is enough to resist the golden immortal level Taoism. The 7th level creation talisman has the power to create life and death, as well as flesh and bones. If it is used to increase blessings, the power of Taoist magic at the level of Xianxian can be doubled, the power of real immortals can be increased by 12 times, and the power of heavenly immortals can be increased by 360 times. Moreover, the 8 fortune-making talismans divide the Xian Huang Spirit Pagoda's fortune-making power into 8 levels, which can be adjusted as needed. The sixth level of the Earth Emperor Dao Spirit Talisman gathers the thickness of the Earth, and its defensive ability is second only to the Mother Chi of the Earth. The fifth layer is the Earth Talisman, the fourth layer is the Gold Talisman, the third layer is the Fire Talisman, the second layer is the Magnetic Talisman, and the first layer is the Seal Talisman. It has all kinds of spiritual effects such as sealing, killing, trapping, and taking. It has endless mysteries and can be changed by the heart. It can be said that as long as you have this magical weapon, you can deal with most situations in the practice world. Back to the patriarch, this black and yellow pagoda is the most profound and mysterious treasure that this disciple has ever seen since he was born. It is extremely powerful. Anyone who gets it can use it to run rampant in the world of practice. That being the case, why do you refuse? It is precisely because this Xian Huang Spirit Pagoda is too powerful and has so many wonderful uses that this disciple has to refuse. Oh! Ancestor, my disciple is a swordsman who emphasizes that one sword can defeat all kinds of magic. I am invincible, I am brave and diligent, and my sword is one. If you have the Xian Huang Pagoda in your hand, you will be able to fight for a long time. When the sword core disintegrates, you will be able to practice. Why can't we make any further progress? Zhuge Liuyun bowed. For the sake of my disciple's future path, I also ask Master to take back this treasure. Su Junming looked at him deeply. This is a top-grade immortal weapon forbidden by the 9 immortals. It will be easy to master it into a top-grade immortal weapon in the future. Do you really want to give up? Zhuge Liuyun spoke firmly. Disciple has made up his mind, and I hope the ancestor will forgive me. The two were in a stalemate for a quarter of an hour. Just when Zhuge Liuyun was panicking and wanted to apologize, he suddenly heard a burst of joyful laughter. Ha ha ha, you are indeed worthy of being my third-generation chief. This mind and determination are indeed extraordinary. Get up quickly. He took 2 steps forward, held Zhuge Liuyun up with both hands, and said happily. Faced with a top-grade immortal weapon, you can always keep a clear head and restrain your greed. Master, I am deeply gratified. You have done a good job. Grand Master, that's a thank you. Su Junming waved his hand. A job well done is a job well done, and there is no need to be humble. There was a pause. I can take back this Xian Huang Pagoda, but I cannot but reward you for your hard work. He opened his palms and a porcelain bottle flew over. This is the Huang Dan that I refined. It is convenient for you to take it at this time. There are 36 pills in this bottle. You can take 1 pill every 12 days. After taking them all, it will be enough for you to advance to the middle stage of the heavenly immortal stage. Zhuge Liuyun was about to speak. Don't refuse again. Yes, disciple, I obey. He took the porcelain bottle respectfully. Zai Ying sword, how do you understand it? My disciple is stupid and has only understood less than 20%, Zhuge Liuyun said with shame. You can make such progress in 1 year, which shows your profound understanding. With a wave of his hand, a jade slip flew into his hand. This is my experience after understanding the rules of swordsmanship contained in the Ziying sword. Take it. Zhuge Liuyun looked happy. Thank you, Master. After that, he took out the Ziying sword and lowered it. After taking it back, what are your plans next? It has been 6 years since my disciples strangled the disciples of the Yin-Yang sect and hunted down the Yin-Yang ancestors. Now with the help of the Master, I have achieved full success. It is time to return to the mountain to pay my respects to my mentor. That's fine. Say hello to your master for me. Yes. If the master has no other instructions, the disciple will resign now. Go ahead and be careful on the road. Zhuge Liuyun nodded, straightened his body, turned into sword light, and went away in an instant. Looking at the disappearing light, Su Junming smiled and shook his head. This kid is just like his master, He has a short temper. Looking at the floating black and yellow pagoda beside him, he waved it and put it into the storage room of Chongshan residence. Everything is done, it's time for me to do my own thing. With one step, the light flew up and disappeared into the northern sky in an instant. Become a disciple of Taoist priest Four Eyes. Author, Dong Ren. Chapter 607. This is a place that would scare any ship. The rough sea is dotted with large and small, black rocks that look like sharp knives. The tall one is 100 feet long, and the short one is just above the sea. And hidden under the sea, there are more similar rocky mountains. Thousands of rocky mountains cut the sea water into pieces, filling it with dangerous undercurrents. Even some large sea beasts will be swallowed up by the undercurrent if they are not careful, hit the rocky mountain, and die instantly. For anyone who has never practiced spiritual practice, this is a dangerous place that is difficult to cross. Therefore, for thousands of years, people have given this place a resounding name. Taidao Gorge. In mid-air, a ray of light flew from far away. After landing above, it stopped instantly, revealing a tall Taoist man wearing a green robe and a green gourd hanging from his waist. It was Su Junming who came straight here after sending Zhuge Liu Yun away. Looking down at the turbulent black mountains below, he frowned slightly. It seems different from the original work. Using a water-avoiding technique, his body flew down and fell into the sea instantly. The rapid turbulence in the sea may be a threat to others, but to Su Junming, who has already advanced to the level of true immortal, it is nothing. But to his surprise, when he was 10 feet deep under the water, all the eddies disappeared. The water here becomes extremely calm. After passing through the narrow valley and flying over the mountains, my eyes suddenly lit up. A large valley covered with corals, as well as various sea grasses and trees, under the sunlight, is colorful and vibrant, appears in the eyes. If you look closely, you will find that a glazed transparent shield covers thousands of acres of valley. Crack. With the sound of branches snapping, 7 or 8 dragon-like monsters with necks more than 10 feet long, deer heads and turtle backs, and flat tails trailing behind them, emerged from a tall area with 4 legs and 1 claw. It was dozens of feet long, 4 or 5 feet thick, with tall and straight branches and plump flowers and leaves as he walked out of the woods. Looking at these, there are giant beasts that are somewhat similar to the plesiosaurs in the memory of the previous life. They must be Malongs. Although it is also a dragon, it only contains a trace of true dragon blood. It can be regarded as a dragon beast. Apart from being stronger, there is nothing surprising about it. Looking around this forest, 100 miles ahead, you can see a formation surrounded by 2,400-foot coral jade peaks. Hidden in the middle of this formation is a pearl palace shell covering an area of hundreds of acres. Inside, there was a powerful black dragon aura and a blue water aura rising nearly 100 feet into the sky. Su Junming, who is good at reading qi, knew at a glance that there were 2 immortals cultivating here. If nothing unexpected happened, it was Long Xian, who had been reincarnated as an ink dragon for thousands of years, and his Taoist companion Dong Yang. Su Junming took a step and instantly stepped across the 5-color glass cover. The surrounding sea water also disappeared. Ouch! The deafening roar of the dragon came from the water mansion. Apparently he was discovered as an outsider. Su Junming was not surprised by this. The glazed shield that blocked the sea water was actually made of the Malong Dan Qi, and it was also a warning line set by it. No one who steps into it can hide from it. Although Su Junming had some means to hide it, they were just 2 immortals. If they didn't know what they were doing, they could just take them. An ink-colored stream of light flew over like lightning. In the blink of an eye, a black dragon with a length of several dozen feet, a head like a hill, a triangle on top, and strong scales appeared in front of him. Above Mo Long's head, there was a woman sitting cross-legged in a white dress with a white gauze covering her face. "Who are you?" The menacing Mo Long was stunned for a moment when he saw the green-robed Taoist in front of him. He thought that his enemy of many years had come to visit him. The poor Taoist Chongshan Zhenjun Su Junming. Su Junming. Both of them had doubts in their eyes. They have been staying in Taidao Gorge to practice without leaving home, and have never heard of Su Junming's name. Why did your excellency break into my retreat without notification? After all, Dong Yang was more cautious than Long Xian. Although the person in front of him, who claimed to be the true lord of Chongshan, did not show any aura in appearance, the more he looked like this, the more extraordinary he became. You know, not just anyone can break through Long Xian's Dan Qi glass cover. The place where you two cultivated in secret, Su Junming smiled faintly, if I remember correctly, this should be the cave of the ancient immortal Pan Now. The ancient immortal Pan Now opened a cave in Taidao Gorge and devoted himself to Taoism. Because the sins were too heavy, even though he had accumulated countless good deeds, he still did not dare to overcome the tribulation. Not only was the natural tribulation difficult, but the human tribulation was even more severe. If he did not do well, both body and soul would be destroyed. For the sake of his own path, he used the Tebe essence of the West to wrap his Yuanling in advance, and sealed all the magic weapons he had used in his life in several treasure houses in the immortal mansion to avoid disasters. Until now, 3,000 years have passed. Now, his meritorious deeds have long been completed, but the Yang Shen is sealed in the Tebe essence of the West, and there are many restrictions inside and outside the cave, making it impossible for him to ascend. He had to wait for his old friend to reincarnate, take a magic weapon to break open the fairy mansion, and let him out. This person is Monk Xiao, a disciple of the ascetic Taochuo of the Yimei sect. This guy has been reincarnated repeatedly for 3,000 years. To a certain extent, he has extraordinary perseverance. Now that you have become a disciple of Yimei, you are expected to achieve righteous cultivation. It's just that I don't know which mother's belly the laughing monk is in now. Su Junming came first. He came here not for the few treasures, but for the white essence of the West. The auras of Malong and the woman were instantly dispersed. Who are you and why do you know this? As far as they know, there are no more than 3 people in the cultivation world who know that this is Panluo Immortal Mansion. Su Junming smiled lightly and said, that's not all I know. He pointed at Mo Long and said, your name is Long Xian. The finger moved up and pointed at the woman. Your name is Dong Yang. You two were originally in Bihai, and were neighbors with Lu Suan, the real person of Jianjian. Later, you got into trouble with the Red Corpse Lord, the powerful demon sect, and met a demon dragon with 5,000 years of spiritual practice. You were attacked on both sides. Looking at Mo Long with an expression of disbelief, he continued. Long Xian was seriously injured and died. With the power of many years of practice, he imprisoned the demon dragon's soul in the underground hole near Wooding Island, seized the demon dragon's body, and took away the essence of the Yuan Dan in the demon dragon's belly. People hid here together. It was also your chance that Panluo's cave was discovered in the eyes of the sea here. It's just that you are not strong enough and you couldn't break through the second layer of restrictions despite all your efforts, so you settled here. A few years ago, I met the Red Corpse God who came to seek revenge. The two of them were invincible. Thanks to one of the 2 elders of the Great Wilderness, Lu Wu passed by and drove him away. And I also tell you that in a few seconds, there will be someone. The people of Yi may come here and ask you and your wife to help them break through the restrictions of the immortal mansion and obtain the 3 UN soul reinforcing pill. After taking this elixir, you, the Black Dragon, will be reborn and regain a human body. Moreover, Madame Lu also left you a message of incense, saying that if she encounters another crisis, she will light the incense and she will be there in an instant to rescue them. Oh, by the way, Madame Lu also adopted you as her adopted daughter. How about that, are you right what Bandeo said? Xiu Dongyang, the female in white, took a deep breath. In fact, in order to resist the red corpse god and find a backer for the couple, she begged several times to become her teacher, but the latter refused because she wanted to seek the path of immortality and did not want to provoke karma anymore. She was just adopted as an adopted daughter. Why do you know this? His tone was trembling, showing panic. Also, anyone who meets a person who knows their background clearly will be panicked. If I know it, I just know it. As for why I know it, I don't need to tell you. There was a pause. The reason why I say this is because you and your wife have no bad record. Besides, after I take away Panluo's treasure, this immortal mansion will be left to you. As for the 3UN soul reinforcing pill, I have it here, so there is no need to use any extra means. Back then, in the secret room above the golden courtyard of Xiun Palace, Su Junming got a bottle of Sanyuan soul reinforcing pill. He kept it in his hand, but it was of no use. With a flick of his finger, a jet black pill the size of a dragon's eye flew towards Mo Long. The latter opened his mouth and protruded a mysterious light. After holding the elixir, his eyes lit up instantly. Although it could not determine whether the pill was genuine or not, the boiling blood and energy in its body after smelling the medicine could not be faked. Feeling the change in her husband's aura, Dong Yang understood instantly. Thank you for the elixir, Your Excellency. Panluo's treasure is right in front of you under Jingtian Lake. If you have the ability, you can take it. You are quite sensible. He lifted up the light and flew straight ahead. Not long after, a lake with the size of hundreds of acres came into view. Looking at the Taoist's retreating figure, Dong Yang frowned. Long Xian noticed the unblinking look in Taoist monk's eyes and instantly became angry. What are you looking at? The two have been together for many years and understand each other very well. As soon as he heard Long Xian's tone, he knew that he was jealous again. Dong Yang felt helpless. Everything about his husband was good, but his jealousy was just too strong. To avoid causing trouble again, Dong Yang has always covered his face with a veil in front of outsiders for many years, not showing his true face. What are you thinking about? I was just thinking that my adoptive mother asked us to guard the Panluo immortal mansion in case someone from Ime comes to take it away. If it is taken away by this person now, wouldn't it be a failure of my mother's trust? Long Xian grinned, and the sharp white dragon teeth made people feel cold. Hey, what's the point? Jingtian Lake is the center of the immortal mansion, with many restrictions. When he gets down, we will activate the restrictions here and trap him inside. Dong Yang pondered for a moment and nodded. Is the 3UN soul pill he gave you real? After smelling the elixir, my energy and blood surged, and there was a faint shield of transformation. It should be true. But to be safe, I will just wait and interrogate the man again after I capture him. Etc. After stopping Long Xian, who was about to take action, Dong Yang took out a stick of aqua blue incense from the magic bag. Ah Yang, with the cultivation levels of you and me, plus the convenient location, do you still need to trouble Lu Xianpo to make a trip? Dong Yang frowned. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Become a disciple of Taoist priest 4 Eyes. Author, Dong Ren. Chapter 608. I always feel a little uneasy, so it's better to be more thoughtful. As soon as the words fell, the mana was activated and the incense was ignited. A steep plume of blue smoke shot straight into the sky, faster than lightning. Is it okay now? Did I do it? You and I will do it together, Dong Yang said. The two of them activated the seal technique at the same time, and the peaceful Taidao Gorge suddenly boiled. Auras of spiritual light bloomed, and infinite spiritual energy gathered together. 24 coral jade peaks, their brilliance reaches the sky. Restrictions arise from nothingness, covering the entire Taidao Gorge. Su Junming, who had just walked to Jingtian Lake, instantly felt that hundreds of millions of tons of rocks were pressing down on his head, and he was bound by thousands of chains around him. His face changed slightly. Looking at the fact that you have never done any evil, I didn't intend to take action, but now you are asking for trouble. It's no wonder that you are Pandeo. Opening his palm, a jade bamboo staff appeared in his hand. This bamboo stick that he usually used to travel has been with him for 3 worlds. Although it is not a treasure of his life, it has been nourished by the aura of greenwood over time, and now it has become an immortal weapon. Although his rank is not high, with his current cultivation level, it is enough here. Looking at the prohibitive etchings that were enveloping him, I swiped the bamboo stick. In an instant, the situation changed. The vast Aoki aura was like thousands of nuclear bombs exploding, spreading crazily in all directions. The surrounding restrictions, in front of this spiritual light, were like broken sacks, shattering with a single impact. Seeing the greenwood light rolling in front of them, like the raging waves of the 9 seas, Longxian and Dongyang's expression suddenly changed. Ouch! Longxian roared angrily, and his body of tens of feet instantly turned into a dragon body of thousands of feet. His huge mouth opened, and a mouthful of ink-colored dragon energy surged out like a waterfall. Yang, run! Dongyang looked determined. If you want to leave, let's go together. There was a flash of light in his arms, and a Kixuan Yeokin appeared. His fingers rippled, and the mysterious sounds turned into endless sound waves. Together with the dragon energy, he resisted the tide of green wood. Longxian was moved in his heart and deeply regretted Meng Lang. Just looking at the intensity of Aoki's energy, they knew they were no match. Quick, let's go. Dongyang nodded, she was not stupid either. Leave. Leave everyone here for me. Accompanied by the vast sound, the energy of the greenwood surged again, turning into a giant palm that reached several thousand feet into the sky, and crashed down like a mountain collapse. Their expressions changed horribly. Senior, spare your life. Boom. Earth-shattering, the momentum is like the sky collapsing. Billions of tons of sea water rose into the sky. The huge waves, like huge mountains, spread thousands of miles like lightning, and the sea water within tens of thousands of miles was turbulent. When the momentum subsided, the blue and black stone mountains that once stood in the sky and stood on the sea had all disappeared. If anyone comes again, they may not recognize that this is the old Tideo Gorge. Under the sea, the mountains and rivers changed their appearance. Hundreds of rocky mountains were obliterated. A palm print of 3,000 feet was deeply embedded in the rock mass. The cyan aura rolled back and flew into Su Junming's palm. An ink dragon with broken scales appeared inside, a woman with bleeding from all her orifices. One person and one dragon, now only the size of a fingernail, are obviously the magical effect of Su Junming's space deo. After a brief glance, he waved his hand and collected it into the treasure tree of the palace. In the future, he would give it to Ao Tian as a tool to open up the world of Chongshan. After all, they are still in the early stage of the two immortals, and the speed of refining the acquired chaotic energy is dozens of times that of the Yuan Shen stage. After dealing with the two of them, look at the Zigong bike in the distance. After all, it is also a fairy palace made of extraordinary materials. He doesn't have any use for it, but if he uses space means to open it up, he can build another Chongshan Academy in the future, similar to Chongshan Chang'an Academy. With his mind set, he brushed the bamboo stick in his hand, and the inspiration came out. Waves of greenwood auras swept across the entire Tideo Gorge. Whether it was the Pearl Palace Shell Palace, the 24 Coral and Jade Mountains, or the treasures from the sea that Longxian and Dongyang had collected from elsewhere over hundreds of years, they were all collected one after another. It's a waste to stay here. It's better to leave it to the disciples of Chongshan lineage. They can also accumulate more merits in the future. After doing this, Su Junming took a step forward and flew into Jingtian Lake. It is said to be a lake, but in fact it was originally an eye of the sea. It's just that Long Xian used the elixir energy he had cultivated for 5,000 years with Mo Long to support the surrounding sea water and turned it into a lake. Flying in, you can clearly sense the rich aura of sunflower water around you. After going several thousand feet deep, two gorgeous watches more than 30 feet high, built entirely of bluestone, appeared in front of them. Passing through Huabiao and following a straight stone road, you can see a large cave appearing more than 10 feet away. There are two doors that look like fine steel and are about 5 feet high. The one on the right is open and the one on the left is incomplete. Looking into the cave from a distance, it is as bright as day. Su Junming stepped in, and after walking no more than 2 or 3 feet, he found a large stone room that was more than 10 acres in size and 7 or 8 feet high. In the center of the stone chamber stands a 3-foot-tall golden stele, which is covered with Zhuwen and ancient seal characters. Su Junming has been practicing Taoism for many years, experienced 3 worlds, and collected hundreds of thousands of books. With the help of bronze mirrors, he is familiar with almost all kinds of ancient texts. Zhuwen's ancient seal script from Shushan is no exception. When I stepped forward to take a look, I couldn't help but smile. It was written by Pan Now, detailing the ownership of the treasure he had hidden here and the time of his birth. He also left a special message saying that he must have his good friend 3,000 years ago, the Laughing Monk, who was reincarnated in this life, in order to open the fairy palace and obtain the treasure. Pan Now's plan is doomed to fail. However, this golden tablet is really good. It is made of Yuan Yang fine gold and is worth a lot of money. As soon as he patted the gourd on his waist, a spiritual light snaked like a snake. Behind the golden tablet, a powerful swallowing power emitted. The golden monument shook instantly. As the core of the stone chamber here, as soon as the golden monument moved, the surrounding restrictions were instantly activated, and countless rockets and golden knives swarmed in. Haha, if someone is in charge, that's it, right now. Certainly. With a wave of his sleeves, bright silver light bloomed. When the rocket golden knife touched it, it solidified instantly. As the silver light spreads, the surrounding restrictions also solidify. Without the restraints, the golden tablet was quickly put into the gourd. He nodded with satisfaction, took a step forward, and instantly crossed the restricted barrier and reached the second floor. There is also a stone chamber of the same size here. However, the underground was empty, except for a human-shaped iron plate about 6 inches long, suspended 10 feet above it with a sharp top and a sharp bottom. As usual, use the sealing aura to seal the iron plate and put it in your bag. Soon a handful of golden light exploded on the ground, and a pagoda about 1 foot high and made of black gold appeared in the center of the cave. With the help of a bronze mirror, one can easily see the extremely rich heavenly merits on it. Obviously, this is also a treasure of merit similar to the main pillar of the golden courtyard of Xiun Palace. Su Junming, who has seen Shushan, knows that this is a sea-holding treasure. With a wave of his hand, the heavenly elephant gate flew into the ground, and the earth fire magma swelled below was instantly sucked away. With a slap on the gourd on his waist, a swallowing force hundreds of times stronger than when he collected the golden monument enveloped the hardware tower. But the latter weighed more than he imagined. Taking 2 steps forward, his body expanded. When he came to the side of Wujin Tower, he was already 2 feet tall. The big hand like a water tank grabbed the tower and pulled it upward. In an instant, an extremely heavy feeling was introduced into the sea of consciousness. Good guy, this thing probably weighs 100,000 kilograms. However, the heavier the weight, the happier Su Junming is. The heavier it is, the better the materials used in this black gold tower are, and the stronger the treasures that can be produced in the future. After he lifted the Wujin Tower, a scorching fire spurted out instantly. The fire spirit energy in the cave became hundreds of times stronger in an instant. Drop by drop, the 3-foot palace treasure tree flew up from Su Junming's head. The weight of the Wajin pagoda was beyond his expectation. Although the green gourd around his waist could be accommodated, it would be more suitable to place it in Chongshan residence. A ray of green light flew down from the treasure tree in the palace, wrapped around the Wajin tower, and slowly came in. After doing this, you can see that there is a hole about 10 feet in size on the ground, with flames rolling inside, and the Earth's fire magma is like an ocean, with turbulent waves. However, this flaming magma is rapidly retreating towards the center of the Earth. After being distracted by manipulating the celestial gate to swallow the magma and annihilate the fire cave, Su Junming urged the Huishan god to perform magic and reached the 3rd floor of Panluo Immortal Mansion. There is another space of the same size, but inside the jade-like stone wall opposite, there is a 3-foot-sized thing with 5 legs underneath that looks like a golden tripod. There are no doors or households up there, and there is an aura of grandeur. Su Junming was about to take action. "Fellow Taoist, please stop." An anxious voice came from inside the cauldron. Smiling faintly, "I thought you would only show up after I took away the 7 treasures in the cauldron and discovered your soul. There is no way out. Since my fellow Taoist knows my origin, why do I need to get into trouble with Pan now? Besides, you and I have never had any enmity, so why should we have a cause and effect? If Taoist friends want to take the treasures in this cauldron, I am willing to give you the 7 treasures. I hope that Taoist friends will take pity on my hard work of 3,000 years of hard work and let my soul ascend." Su Junming said calmly, "If you had stopped me in time when I moved the Wajin pagoda, I would have let you ascend this time. But you are selfish and cowardly. For the sake of your own path, you have sacrificed thousands of miles of sea area and billions of dollars in the Taidao Gorge. Not caring about living things. Such a selfish and indifferent person, if I let you ascend to immortality, wouldn't you harm more people?" He raised his right hand, the sealing talisman in his palm flickered, and a handful of extremely bright silver light exploded, covering the entire golden cauldron treasure house. "Fellow Taoist, I admit that I was temporarily selfish and failed to warn fellow Taoist in time. I am willing to apologize." "Apologize? It's too late. But the grade of your Western Taibei essence is so high that it has not been sealed." As soon as his heart moved, a silver divine door flew up from his head. The Haoshan mirror hanging on the lintel of the Shenmen gradually lit up with dots of silver light. As the light gathered more and more, a bright beam of light shot towards the golden tripod. "Fellow Taoist, obstructing others from attaining the Dao is a huge cause and effect that will never end." Perhaps sensing the extraordinary nature of the silver light, Pan now quickly shouted. However, after the sealed aura of the Haoshan mirror exploded with all its strength and shot into the golden cauldron, all the sounds disappeared. With a move of his hand, the 3-foot golden tripod became smaller and smaller. When it fell into Su Junming's hand, only 3 inches remained. Become a disciple of Taoist priest 4 Eyes. Author, Dong Ren. Chapter 609. Chapter 597, Panluo 7 Treasures, Taibei Suanjin. Activate the Danshan bronze mirror, and there are 8 things in the huge golden court space. A purple jade bracelet shaped like a real dragon's tail. 7 flames arranged in a zigzag pattern. 3 colorful feathers over 2 feet long arranged side by side. A blue jade clock. A jade circle with 7 spiritual snakes. A green needle with sharp ends. The last one shines brightest. It is shaped like a pair of crossed axes, with the axe head being a perfect circle. One of the axes is shaped like a full moon, shining with cold light, the other axe is surrounded by golden light and has a deep red center, like a sun disk. 2 axes are inserted diagonally on an axe handle that looks like a spear and is radiating strange light. Su Junming stretched out his hand and the purple bracelet flew into his palm. After removing the seal, it instantly transformed into a dragon-shaped purple light, trying to fly away through the air. It's a pity that Su Junming's palm contains the magic of space. It is a space that is as big or small as the heart. No matter how it flies, it can't be broken. He stretched out his hand to grab it, compressed the space, and squeezed the dragon-shaped purple light into the original bracelet again. Divine consciousness is infiltrated, and a line of immortal forbidden city is reflected in the sea of consciousness. Purple light bracelet. As a weapon refiner, Su Junming quickly understood how to practice this magical weapon. It's actually not complicated either. Many monks in the spiritual world collect the Eastern Taoist purple chi sacrificial treasures to protect themselves and succumb to demons. However, compared to Pan Now, the purple light bracelet, which took 3,000 years to absorb the purple energy sacrifice and practiced, is indeed much inferior. The 7 Z flames are called the 7 constellations star flame. They are a rare treasure made from the flame aura and the 7 constellations of stars in the north. It is not suitable for refining alchemy and refining weapons, but it is a killing treasure of flames. 3 colorful feathers, named Kalyuan feathers, are collected from the tail feathers of the fairy bird Phoenix Luan, and are made through sacrifice. They contain the mystery of the wind. After being waved, they can not only set off a torrential hurricane, but also become a treasure of flight and escape. It's thousands of miles away in an instant. The green jade bell is called Qingling bell. Although it is called a bell, it is indeed a wooden spiritual treasure. After being activated by magic power, the jade bell sheds a stream of greenwood spiritual light, which is best at resisting sharp gold weapons such as flying needles and swords. These 4 spiritual treasures are all forbidden immortal weapons. The oval iron ring with 7 snakes coiled around it is called the Soaring Snake Ring. It contains the golden flame of the soaring snake, which is powerful enough to melt gold and turn iron. It is a flame that can be used to make elixirs and refine weapons. Of course, it can also be used against enemies, but it is not as lethal as the 7 constellation star flame. The green needle with 2 pointed ends is called the Xianying needle, which is the ultimate killing treasure refined from the Western Taipei gold chi. The soaring snake ring and Xianying needle are 2 forbidden immortal weapons. The last item, Liangyi Divine Axe Order, is the most powerful. When activated, it can shoot out the most overbearing Zaiwu divine light and restrain the Earth's magnetism. As soon as the restriction of the Liangyi Divine Axe Order was released, the treasure collided with the space in Su Junming's palm. At the same time, the 2 iron plagues collected earlier were also trembling. Su Junming's heart moved, he let go of the restraint, and let the 2 iron plates fly into his palm. But I saw them, like baby swallows throwing themselves into the forest, quickly approaching the Liangyi Divine Axe Order, making 2 choking sounds, facing each other, and sticking to the spear in the middle. The 3 fit together perfectly, as if they were born this way. With the immersion of spiritual consciousness, the name of the Liangyi Divine Axe Order became the Liangyi Yunyang Order, and the restrictions also changed from 3 to 4. Even though there is just one more immortal forbidden, the power is really different. The 3 forbidden immortals are only low-grade immortal weapons, but the 4th ones can become middle-grade immortal weapons. The advanced Liangyi Yin and Yang order emits the Zaiwu Yin and Yang divine light, which is designed to break through all kinds of divine light. It can also protect the body with the Yin and Yang Qi. It can be called the most powerful fairy weapon among Pan Nao's 7 treasures. Each of the 7 immortal weapons has a magical function, and it took Pan Luo sacrifices and practice for thousands of years to perfect them. However, from Su Junming's point of view, if these treasures fall into his hands, if they are practiced again, they can refine 2 more immortal taboos. The power goes up several levels. However, except for the Liangyi Yin and Yang order, the others are really lacking in interest. At most, they can be used to reward disciples. After collecting these 7 treasures, Su Junming looked at the black mist filling the golden cauldron. This is the main purpose of Su Junming's trip. The energy of Taibei Suanjin. This is a treasure made by collecting the qi of Western golden essence and combining it with the evil qi of Jushin Taibei Venus. Judging from the level of Taibei Suanjin qi, it has undoubtedly reached the peak of the innate Taishi level. The quantity is also large enough. If used to practice the four-elephant sword formation, it can be enough to become a top-grade immortal weapon. He reached out and grabbed it, and a hexagonal light flew into his palm. In the center of this precious light, there is a gray-white shadow shaped like a chicken. If you look closely, you will find that it is a little man about 2 feet tall wearing Taoist attire. As he waved, a pocket about 2 feet tall and covered with delicate scales appeared in front of him. The pocket was not sealed, and Su Junming could easily take out the contents. 2 black gold vases about several inches high, and another Taoist book made of bamboo slips, totaling 73 pages. Except for the first 3 pages, which use Zuwen and ancient seals to record the treasures in the Ming treasury and how to use the elixir, the rest are all immortal talismans that Pan Luo painstakingly refined. Su Junming took a brief look and found that the level of these talismans was very high. Each one was equivalent to a full-strength strike from a late-stage cultivator. Taibei Gold Sword. It seems that this is his best magical power. The last page of the bamboo slips, also written in Zuwen and ancient seal script, succinctly describes Pan Luo's life and the reasons for leaving these treasures. After reading, put it away together. Su Junming looked at the 6-pointed gold star and his eyes lit up. This was an unexpected bonus. He also didn't expect that in addition to Pan Luo Yuan Shen, he also possessed an innate Tai Zhengjin fundamental energy. The grade of this fundamental energy is far superior to the Taibei Suanjin energy just now. As long as it is there, Zhengjin spiritual energy can be continuously gathered. Whether it is refining treasures or protecting Dharma, it has endless wonderful uses. No wonder Pan Luo was willing to leave all the treasures here to understand the cause and effect. It turns out that this innate Tai Zhengjin fundamental aura is his most important treasure. He raised his right hand, just about to peel off this precious Zhengjin fundamental energy, but stopped again when the situation came to an end. It's a great cause and effect that I got his treasure. If I get this Zhengjin fundamental energy again, it would be too much. After thinking for a moment, a ray of green light hung down from the palace treasure tree above his head, taking Pan Luo Yuan Shen into it. You should also go with Lian Shan to reincarnate in the world of Chongshan. Then I will help you enter the Tao, and you will understand the cause and effect. Lian Shan and Pan Luo can also be regarded as reincarnations of immortals, especially the latter, who is born with the innate Tai Zhengjin fundamental energy and has good natural aptitudes. Becoming an immortal again is almost certain. As long as they are properly guided, the Chongshan lineage can have 2 more immortals. Just as he was about to put away the Taibei Suanjin essence in the golden cauldron, suddenly there was the sound of spiritual energy surging from above. Immediately afterwards, an old shout sounded. Where are Long Xian and Dong Yang? Su Junming flew out of Pan Luo Immortal Mansion and came to the sea. But on the opposite side, an old woman with a gloomy face and a thin body, holding a dove stick and wearing a dark yellow kerzo clothes, stood in the air. His magic power is extremely powerful, and he has already reached the late stage of immortality. Are you Lu Nu, one of the 2 elders of Dawang? The calm tone made Lu Xiao frown instantly. As a top monk in the cultivation world, she is respected as one of the 6 monsters of the universe. She and her senior brother Kuzu are not the same as Dawang, so she is used to being respected by others. And who are you? Although Su Junming is already well known in the cultivation world, Lu Nu lives in the barren mountains of the East China Sea and is extremely isolated, and she has been practicing in seclusion all year round. I don't know Su Junming, who has gained great fame in the spiritual world in recent years. This is Su Junming. There was unruliness in his eyes. I've never heard of it. My adopted daughter Dong Yang was captured by you. That's right. Su Junming smiled and nodded. Let him go, otherwise don't blame the old woman for being rude. With a flick of the dove stick, powerful magic power soared into the sky, and the surging momentum stirred up the wind and clouds, which was truly earth-shattering. It is said that Lu Nu, one of the two elders of the great wilderness, is headstrong. I didn't believe it before, but now it seems that the rumors are not exaggerated. Madame Lu was instantly angry, sharp-tongued and sharp-tongued. When I capture you, let's see if you can still be as eloquent as you are now. With a wave of the dove stick, the overwhelming shadow of the stick fell down like a huge wave. The vast shadow of the staff instantly overwhelmed Su Junming. Boom boom. The sound of defeat sounded. All the wooden sticks hit Su Junming. Lu Nu was happy to defeat the enemy with one move, but soon frowned. Although she is extreme and narrow-minded, she is not stupid. The person who can control her adopted daughter must be at least at the peak of his soul and be accompanied by valuable treasures. There's no reason why she can't even catch a stick. After the heavy staff shadows dissipated, a tall figure wearing a green Taoist robe appeared again 100 feet away. The corners of his clothes were not scattered, and his aura was still calm, which made Lu Nu's heart sink. Su Junming adjusted his clothes and moved his shoulders. There was a sound like frying beans. I haven't moved my body for a long time, and my energy and blood are a little sluggish. It feels really good to be hit by your stick. By the way, do you still have any magic power? If so, give me a few more blows to loosen up my muscles and bones. The naked contempt made Lu Nu feel furious. It had been so many years, that she had never been ridiculed like this. Okay, let's see how many canes you can take. He activated his Danshan mana and slowly struck out with the wooden stick in his hand. In an instant, the aura spurted out like a tide, and the tyrannical King Mu's spiritual energy turned into a giant tree thousands of feet tall, as if a huge mountain collapsed, and fell straight towards Su Junming with an earth-shattering momentum. Boom! The loud noise was shocking. The sound of the explosion shook thousands of miles. Lu Nu's expression was gloomy, and the magic power in her Danshan poured into the staff like the Yangtze River, but an extremely powerful force blocked the staff, like an ancient giant mountain. No matter how she activated her magic power, it would be difficult to shake even a tiny bit. Boom! A huge force that could not be resisted suddenly exploded, and the giant tree shattered inch by inch. Lu Nu's expression changed greatly and she quickly withdrew her staff, but she was still blown hundreds of feet away by the huge force of the explosion.